Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Another episode, Project 110. And today we're going to be working on replacing the outer skin on that fender. Okay, so I decided I'm going to use the inner fender off the parts truck, even though it's quite a little bit rustier than the one that's on there. But the reason for that is it looks like it's in good condition. It looks like it's just surfaced rust, so once I get it all tore apart, then I'll know for sure. But my reasoning is that everything's mounted here on this fender on that truck, meaning the battery box is here, the power distribution box is here, there's the relays for the grid heaters, there's all kinds of stuff bolted to this fender. Okay, so here's my idea is if I put the new fender on this old tub and I have it all cleaned up, have the inside all painted, ready to go, then all I have to do is unbolt all the stuff off of that fender over there and then just mount this one right up, instead of taking that one off and now the truck's not mobile in case I have to move it. Okay, so get started here. Got some 36 grit on the roll lock. Just gonna go around this lip, expose all the spot welds, get a little bit of this rust out of there. Typically you could drill all these spot welds out. Most people do that. I've seen people sheet metal screw it back together. I've seen people bolt them back together. I'll be welding mine on, of course, so I'll be able to use these holes as plug weld holes. So I just used a plasma cutter. Shouldn't have an issue. Put a nice fresh tip on it and knock these out. I may have to drill a few, it's hard to say. So let's get started. Okay, started to rain, surprise, but it was no time blowing out these spot welds with the plasma cutter. I don't know how long it would take to drill out all these spot welds, but I do know it took like a minute and a half to blast these out with plasma cutter. Now I'm just going under the edge of the flange here with a sharp and flat screwdriver and hammer, just breaking it free. And then once I get this all cleaned up, I'll be able to dolly the edge back down flat if I have to. I believe this is a faster way of doing it than spending all that time with the drill. Okay, got everything separated now. Have a look at the situation. Okay, so don't need that anymore. This looks pretty good. Has a little spot on the edge here. I'll have to put a little strip of metal in there. Not a big deal, as long as the rest of it cleans up half decent. I think we should be all right after it quits raining. So I went over this real quick with the flap disc on the electric grinder. Just hit a bunch of these spots. Yeah, it's mostly just surface rust. Looks pretty good under there too. So I just touched the burnout bits from the plasma cutter, and I just used a hammer and dolly, and you can see I've straightened the flange out. So that's where I'm at on that. I'm gonna grab some shop towel and some vinegar, soak them, and just place them on here and see if we can eat a little bit of this loose rust off, and then I guess then proceed to put a sliver of metal in here. Got a little piece of 18 gauge clamped on there. Just go around with a marker on the inside, mark a flange here, mark it on the back side around there, and cut it out. So cut out the piece I marked, got it clamped in. Now I've got this piece marked, and now the idea here is this is going to sit just inside this radius, so I cut the material away that's underneath, because the new fender, same as the old fender, is going to sit right on the top of this. So I kind of want to kind of keep that just the way it is. So I got this all cut away, and it's right at the radius. It's right there. I don't know if you guys can see it. There's just a tiny breath of the black magic marker line there. So this is clamped in. This is going to get pulled up to the edge just like that and get all tacked in, and then I'll take a small square and bend it in whatever direction, in or out, that needs to be to make it straight, and weld it up. All tacked in and squared up, all welded up, ready to grind. Okay, so that's all ground up real nice, ready for the new fender. Now, if you noticed, I had this clamped to my workstation here, my portable station. Able to work on this the whole time, a nice comfortable position. Okay, so here's my new fender in the box. It's obviously an aftermarket, made in Taiwan, I'm assuming that's what that says. For Dodge pickup 9402. So let's get it out of the box. So here's our new aftermarket replacement fender. It looks nice and clean. No damage on it that I can see so far. A few little scuff marks here will need cleaned up before paint. It isn't perfect. There's some pinch marks here. A little bit of not perfectly die stamping going on. It's an aftermarket. What can you do? Here's the two pieces sitting on top of each other. Pretty much can't go wrong lining this up. The inner fender comes down here and it has a little kink in it, and then it carries on. That follows this line in the panel right to here and takes off that way. So it pretty much lines itself up. You just put the new one on like the old one came off. So the only thing, maybe you might need to push it down a little bit to get it up against that flange you saw on the other side. Here's my new flange here. Probably need to dolly this down a little bit. There's a little gap, but it may actually just pull down into place. You can even see here's the outline right here, a little bit of the outline of where the original piece was spot welded there. So yeah, it lines right up. Like I say, you pretty much can't go wrong. Now what I'll be doing next is obviously easier to clean this up without the weight of this on there. So I'll go over this with the grinder some more and the wire wheel. I'm gonna have to put 3 plug weld holes in here like the original piece had. Then mark each one of these and grind the paint off where each one of these plug welds is going to go, and basically just spray some weld through primer on this piece and the back side of this piece. Now that's all done, and once again you can see the part pretty much just lines itself up. I still have a little mark over there, so I pushed that down in, put one clamp on it. This is all lined up real nice. I shouldn't have any issue pushing this down and tacking in. I could dolly it some more, but I think I'm gonna be able to manage. So next thing to do before I get started, got a couple pieces of 18 gauge here, clamp together, set up the welder, and then start plug welding. So this is what I look for when I set up to do plug welds. This is my first weld. It's not too bad. It's bonded. It's a little uneven. Turn the heat up a little more. It definitely looks better. This one definitely has more flow out to it, and it's not as high of a pile or sticking up like the other ones. Now on the other side, some important things going on here. Once again, the first one, you know, it looks nice. The second one here definitely has a little bit more penetration for its size, but what I'm looking for is in the third one down here. I don't know if you guys see it, there's a little tiny dot right there. That is a representation that the metal right there, it liquefied. So both pieces definitely got bonded right there. Okay, so I'm all set up. What I'm just gonna do is, there's a flange on the back of here, so I'm just gonna use my hammer, push that down just like that, hold it in place, and I'm gonna start in the middle here and start on this one and get a weld on it. Okay, so got started. Just gonna go around, same thing, get one little tack on each one of these, working out like this. So everything's all tacked in, as you can see, and go around with the hammer, knock some of these flange edges down so they're nice and tight. Put another tack out here on the outboard side of the plug weld hole, and then go back through and weld them all up. All welded in, ready to grind up. Okay, so thinking this is more than acceptable, considering you're probably never going to see it again once everything's bolted up and mounted up. So just going to wipe this all down with some wax and grease remover and brush on a coat of this hardware store rust paint. Okay guys, so yeah, just a quick brush coat of the old hardware store paint on there, and that will keep everything nice until it's time for paint. So till the next one guys, peace.